Symbolism of the Tarot, Part 4. Card 1, the Juggler. I saw a strange-looking man. His figure clad in multicolored jester's dress stood between earth and sky. His feet were hidden by the grass and flowers, his head in a large hat with strangely turned-up brim, resembling the sign of eternity disappearing into the clouds. In one hand he held a magic wand, the sign of fire, wool, with one end pointing toward the sky, and with the other hand he was touching a pentacle, the sign of earth, creation that lay before him on a traveling juggler's stool. Side by side with the cup and sword, the signs of water and air, truth and life. Like lightning there flashed in me the realization that I saw the four magical symbols in action. The juggler's face was radiant and confident. His hands flitted about swiftly as though playing with the four signs of the elements, and I felt that he held some mysterious threads which connected the earth with the distant luminaries. His every movement was full of significance, and every new combination of the four symbols created long series of unexpected phenomena. My eyes were dazzled. I could not follow everything that was presented. For whom is all this performance? I asked myself. Where are the spectators? And I heard a voice saying, "Are spectators necessary? Look at him more closely." Again I lifted my eyes to the man in the jester's dress and saw that he was changing all the time. Innumerable crowds seemed to pass and pass in him before me, disappearing before I could tell myself what I saw. And I understood that he himself was both the juggler and the spectators. At the same time I saw myself in him, reflected as in a mirror, and it seemed to me that I was looking at myself through his eyes. But another feeling told me that there was nothing in front of me but the blue sky, and that within myself a window had opened through which I saw inner, unearthly things and heard unearthly words of truth. Card 0. The Fool. And I saw another man. Weary and lame he dragged himself along a dusty road, across a lifeless plain, beneath the scorching rays of the sun. Gazing stupidly sideways with fixed eyes, with a half-smile, half-grimace frozen upon his face, he crawled along neither seeing nor knowing whither, plunged in his own chimerical dreams that moved eternally in the same circle. The fool's cap and bells on his head, back to front. His clothes were torn down the back. A wild lynx with burning eyes, tenacity, leapt at him from behind a stone and drove its teeth into his leg. He stumbled, nearly falling but dragged himself even further, carrying over his shoulder a sack full of unnecessary useless things that only his madness forced him to carry. In front the road was cleft by a ravine. A deep precipice awaited the crazy wanderer and a huge beast with gaping jaws crept out of the abyss, desire. And I heard a voice saying to me, "Behold! This is the same man." Everything became confused in my head. What has he in his sack? I asked, not knowing why I did so. After a long silence the voice answered. The four magic symbols, the wand, the cup, the sword and the pentacle. The fool always carries them with him, but he does not understand what they mean. Do you not see yourself? And with a thrill of horror, I felt that this also was I. Then travelled on, to the temple of Osiris. Card 2. The High Priestess. When I had lifted the first veil and entered the outer court of the Temple of Initiations, I saw in the half-darkness the figure of a woman, sitting on a high throne, hidden knowledge, between two columns of the temple, one white and one black, active and passive. Mystery breathed from her and around her. Sacred symbols gleamed on her green robes. On her head was a golden tiara surmounted by a two-horned moon. On her knees she held two crossed keys and an open book. Between the two columns, behind the woman hung a second veil all embroidered with green leaves and pomegranate fruits. And a voice said to me, "In order to enter the temple it is necessary to lift the second veil and pass between the two columns. But in order to pass between them it is necessary to obtain possession of the keys, to read the book and to understand the symbols. The knowledge of good and evil awaits you. Are you ready?" And with deep suffering I felt that I was afraid to enter the temple. "Are you ready?" repeated the voice. I was silent. My heart nearly stopped with fear. I could not utter a word. I felt that a precipice was opening up before me and that I should not dare to take a single step. Then the woman sitting between the two columns turned her face to me and looked at me without saying a word. And I understood that she was speaking to me, but my fear only grew greater. I knew that I should not enter the temple. Card 21. The world. An unexpected vision arose before me. A circle resembling a wreath woven from rainbows, and lightning revolved between sky and earth. It revolved with frenzied speed, blinding me with its brilliance, and in this radiance and fire music sounded, and soft singing was heard. Also the peals of thunder and the roar of a hurricane, the noise of mountain avalanches and the rumble of earthquakes. The circle whirred with a terrible noise, touching earth and sky, and in its center I saw the dancing figure of a young and beautiful woman, wrapped in a light transparent scarf, with a magic wand in her hand. And at the sides of the circle there became visible to me the four beasts of the apocalypse. One like a lion, the second like a calf, the third with the face of a man and the fourth like a flying eagle. The vision disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared. A strange stillness descended upon the earth. What does this mean? I asked in astonishment. It is the image of the world, said a voice. It must be understood before one can pass through the gates of the temple. This is the world in the circle of time, amid the four principles. This is what you always see but never understand. Understand that all you see, things and phenomena, are but the hieroglyphs of higher ideas. Card 3. The Empress. I felt the breath of spring, and with the fragrance of violets, lilies of the valley and the wild cherry the soft music of elves was borne toward me. Brooks murmured, green tree tops rustled, innumerable choirs of birds were singing, bees were droning and everywhere was the joyful living breath of nature. The sun shone softly and mildly, a small white cloud hung over the woods. In the midst of a green glade where bloomed the first yellow primroses, seated upon a throne encircled with ivy and blossoming lilac, I saw the Empress. A green wreath adorned her golden hair. 12 stars shone above her head. 2 snow-white wings visible behind her back, and in one hand she held a scepter. With a tender smile the Empress looked about her, and beneath her glance flowers opened up and bulbs unfolded their sticky green leaves. The whole of her dress was covered with flowers, as though every flower that opened was reflected or imprinted on it and became a part of her garment. The sign of Venus, the goddess of love, was carved upon her marble throne. "O Queen of Life," I said, "why is everything so radiant, joyful and happy around you? Do you not know that there is the grey, weary autumn, the cold white winter? Do you now know that there is death, black graves, cold damp sepulchres and cemeteries? How can you smile joyfully looking at the unfolding flowers, when all dies and all will die, when all is condemned to death, even that which is not yet born?" The Empress looked at me smiling, and beneath her smile I suddenly felt that in my soul the flower of some bright understanding was opening. As though something was being revealed to me and the terror of death began to depart from me. Card 20. The Resurrection of the Dead. I saw an icy plain. A chain of snow-covered mountains shut off the horizon. A cloud arose and grew until it covered a quarter of the sky. And in the midst of the cloud there appeared 2 fiery wings. And I saw the messenger of the Empress. He raised his trumpet and blew a loud and imperious blast. And in response the plain trembled, and with loud reverberating echoes the mountains answered. And one after the other the graves in the plain began to open, and out of them people came forth, young children and old folk, men and women. And they stretched out their arms to the messenger of the Empress and tried to catch the sound of the trumpet. And in the sound of the trumpet, I felt the smile of the Empress. And in the opening of the graves, I saw the unfolding of flowers. And in the extended hands, I smelt the fragrance of flowers. And I understood the mystery of birth and death.